Cancer, the moon does not tell you that everything is wrong. It tells you that not everything is visible yet. This week, your sensitivity is powerful, but it needs structure. You may feel a truth before you can explain it, yet fear can imitate intuition when the body is tired or unprotected. Your task is to move slowly enough to tell the difference. Your card for August 5th through August 11th is the Moon. The central message is that uncertainty becomes wisdom when you stop demanding an immediate answer and start gathering honest signals. The shadow expression would be treating every emotional fluctuation as a prophecy. The wiser expression is honoring intuition while checking facts, protecting rest, and allowing unclear situations to reveal themselves over time. This is not a prediction that one literal event must occur. It is a decision-making lens for recognizing the pattern when it appears. On August 6th, Venus enters Libra and moves through your fourth house of home, family, roots, privacy, and emotional security. Venus brings attention to attraction, values, harmony, and the quality of exchange. Through the lens of the moon, this transit asks you to notice what becomes more appealing when you are acting from self-respect rather than habit. Let beauty and connection support the lesson of the card, but do not use harmony to avoid the truth the card is revealing. On August 9th, Mercury enters Leo and activates your 2th house of money, resources, self-worth, and the standards behind your choices. Mercury changes the way information moves, how decisions are framed, and what needs to be spoken or understood. For Cancer, this can help translate the message of the moon into language and practical choices. Use the transit to ask better questions, clarify assumptions, and give the central lesson of the reading a form you can act on. On August 11th, Mars enters Cancer and moves into your 1th house of identity, presence, confidence, and the way you inhabit your own life. Mars brings drive, friction, courage, and the desire to act. Its energy can help you implement the lesson of the moon, but it may also tempt you to rush before the emotional meaning is understood. Direct the energy toward one constructive action in this area rather than allowing irritation or urgency to choose for you. The deeper invitation of the moon is not to perform the card's most familiar keyword. It is to notice the choice beneath it. For Cancer, that choice may appear in the space between instinct and response. You may already understand this situation intellectually, but the week asks whether your behavior reflects that understanding. Watch for the moment when an old reflex offers immediate relief. That moment is not a failure, it is the doorway into a different decision. Also notice what you are tempted to make this card mean about your identity. The moon describes an energy and a lesson, not a permanent definition of who you are. You can work with its message without turning it into a verdict. The most useful question is not, "Why am I like this?" It is, "What response would make this pattern less powerful by the end of the week?" In love, the moon can surface mixed signals, projections, old fears, or a feeling that something important has not been said. Do not accuse yourself of being too sensitive, but do not assume that every fear is evidence. Venus entering your 4th house favors emotional safety, tenderness at home, and relationships that feel private in the best sense, protected, sincere, and able to soften without becoming evasive. At work, avoid making a permanent decision from a temporary fog. Mercury entering your second house helps you evaluate value, compensation, and priorities more clearly, but first you may need to separate your worth from the mood of a manager, client, or audience. Ask direct questions. Put agreements in writing. Let clarity be practical. Financially, the moon asks you to inspect hidden assumptions. Review statements, renewals, shared expenses, and anything you have been avoiding because the numbers feel emotionally loaded. Information will calm you more effectively than imagination. Do not spend to soothe uncertainty before understanding what the uncertainty is about. For health and energy, sleep, hydration, and emotional boundaries matter. Mars entering your first house can increase drive and irritability at the same time. Movement can help discharge pressure, but punishment will not. Choose activity that makes you feel more present in your body, not more at war with it. Wednesday is for quiet observation. Record what you sense, but delay conclusions until you have more than one signal. Thursday, Venus enters Libra and your fourth house. Create beauty or calm in your home, and notice who helps your nervous system feel safe. Friday asks for one direct question. Replace guessing with information wherever information is actually available. Saturday favors restoration and privacy. Protect a few hours from noise, comparison, and emotional overexposure. Sunday, Mercury enters Leo and your second house. Review a value, price, budget, or standard you have been reluctant to state clearly. Monday is a reality check day. Compare what was promised, what was imagined, and what has consistently occurred. Tuesday, Mars enters Cancer and your first house. Move with purpose, but pause before reacting. Your energy is stronger, and so is the impact of your first response. Here are your 3 journal prompts. Where is the lesson of the moon already visible in my life, even if I have not named it? What would change if I practiced this week's central truth? That uncertainty becomes wisdom when you stop demanding an immediate answer and start gathering honest signals. In one concrete situation? Which response would allow me to respect both my feelings and my future? Your weekly guidance is this: use a 3-signal check whenever a strong feeling appears. First, name the body signal: tight chest, heavy stomach, restless hands. Second, name the story your mind creates. Third, identify one fact you can verify. Do this for 3 moments during the week. By Tuesday, review the page and notice which feelings carried information and which grew from exhaustion or uncertainty. Do not use the exercise to create another standard you can fail. Use it to collect evidence. The purpose is to make the message of the moon visible in behavior, because insight becomes trustworthy when it changes one real decision. Cancer, this week does not require a dramatic reinvention. It asks for one honest correction repeated consistently. You may notice that the old pattern still speaks loudly, but volume is not authority. Let the card become a lens rather than a label. Let the astrology provide timing and context rather than certainty. Most of all, let your next action become proof that awareness is already changing the way you move. One more layer deserves attention. This card can become distorted when you try to solve its lesson through performance alone. A polished response may look convincing while leaving the deeper pattern untouched. This week, measure progress by what becomes simpler, more honest, and more sustainable after the decision. Notice whether your body relaxes when you tell the truth, whether your schedule becomes more coherent when you choose a priority, and whether your relationships become clearer when you stop managing every possible reaction. The card is not asking for perfection. It is asking for congruence between what you know, what you say, and what you repeatedly do. One more layer deserves attention. This card can become distorted when you try to solve its lesson through performance alone. A polished response may look convincing while leaving the deeper pattern untouched. This week, measure progress by what becomes simpler, more honest, and more sustainable after the decision. Notice whether your body relaxes when you tell the truth, whether your schedule becomes more coherent when you choose a priority, and whether your relationships become clearer when you stop managing every possible reaction. The card is not asking for perfection. It is asking for congruence between what you know, what you say, and what you repeatedly do. One more layer deserves attention. This card can become distorted when you try to solve its lesson through performance alone. A polished response may look convincing while leaving the deeper pattern untouched. This week, measure progress by what becomes simpler, more honest, and more sustainable after the decision. Notice whether your body relaxes when you tell the truth, whether your schedule becomes more coherent when you choose a priority, and whether your relationships become clearer when you stop managing every possible reaction. The card is not asking for perfection. It is asking for congruence between what you know, what you say, and what you repeatedly do. The moon can make ambiguity feel personal, as though not knowing means you have failed to listen closely enough. That is not the lesson. Some truths need time, repetition, and a safer nervous system before they become legible. Give yourself permission to gather information without creating a verdict. Notice whether a fear becomes quieter after rest, whether a suspicion is supported by consistent behavior, and whether an intuitive signal remains steady when the emotional weather changes. You do not have to distrust yourself. You are learning to trust yourself with greater precision. Sensitivity becomes guidance when it can remain present without demanding immediate certainty. Your affirmation for this week is, I trust my sensitivity, verify my fears, and allow truth to reveal itself in the right light. Carry that with you through August 11th. Subscribe so your next weekly reading is waiting for you. Trust the timing. The stars have spoken.